Pledge your flag.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, this meeting is being recorded in live stream. You're the only other ones that I can see recording. Yep. Signed warrants.
Read those out, Mr. Chair. Okay, for fiscal year 2025-07, payroll warrant in the amount of $193,709.54. For fiscal year 2025-07, accounts payable warrant in the amount of $142,219.26. And lastly, for fiscal year 25-07, withholding warrant in the amount of $103,700.69.
All right. Item number 1, interim highway superintendent, general discussion, salary, grant writing position, etc.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, before we get, I guess, into the details, one of the questions I wanted to put out to the board is, in considering the compensation and the job responsibilities for the interim superintendent, is whether or not the board would like to enter into a contract, a short-term contract for the interim superintendent, or if they choose not to. If the board chooses to enter into the short-term contract, then I believe that those discussions and details should be discussed in executive session for the reasons, exemption number 2.
Yeah, have you verified, Ron, that that's one of the positions that we're entitled to contract? Because I think there's very explicit positions that we're entitled to
I have
contract.
not.
We did before, though, for an interim.
We had it was a letter, but it wasn't technically a contract.
Oh,
So it was an offer letter, not.
Gotcha.
So there's a difference
Like
between an
when we-
offer
when
letter
we
and a
had Gary?
contract. Yeah,
okay.
yeah. It wasn't there was like written terms, but
Yeah.
it's the same as an offer letter.
Okay.
So an offer letter, although it's
No, I see the
Yeah,
difference.
there's a fundamental difference
Yeah.
between the two, though
Yeah.
there are legal implications to giving somebody an offer letter. It's not the same as a contract.
Yeah.
And I remember and I don't remember which positions. I remember at one point we had wanted to do a contract for a position. I don't know if it was highway superintendent or not. And Kelly advised us that it wasn't legal in the state of Massachusetts.
Okay.
So-
I did not talk to KP Law to have a legal opinion with regards to contract for the superintendent position.
Okay.
So if we
I
do not
mean,
enter a contract, then obviously the discussion would have to be an open session.
Well, I think you can, I mean, the exemption, I wanted to specify that so that if we did go into executive and came out and it wasn't technically a contract, that somebody didn't file a complaint against us because it wasn't technically a contract. However, I think if you do look at exemption number 2, it does allow for negotiations with non-union personnel, in general, as well as
True.
for a contract, but I didn't want to specify that aspect of it.
Yep, fair
So,
enough, fair enough.
I think that would in part be up to Lindsay as well, correct? Whether,
Yeah, would.
okay,
Yeah, both parties would have to agree.
okay. So, I'll make a motion that we go into executive session for the purposes of negotiating with non-union personnel or to conduct collective bargaining sessions or contract negotiations with non-union personnel for interim highway superintendent and return to open session after we.
You want to do that, or do you want to go through and get people out and then do that? Sorry, Lindsay.
No, that's okay. We can fly through this agenda and then.
Well, that's what I'm
and then-
saying. That's,
Get the rest of the
That-
agenda, I'm in no rush, so.
Okay. So,
I'm good with that.
okay.
I guess, so then I'll make a motion that we take stuff out of order.
Well, I make that motion.
What's that?
Oh, I guess, should I make that motion, or?
No, I can make that motion. It's your meeting.
Second.
I think you can make that determination without my motion, but
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Appointment Highway Advisory Committee. Would anyone like to make a motion for the two candidates?
We have 3 candidates now, right?
Yes, so there was a third letter of interest that was submitted literally just today. So there are now 3.
okay, I'll make a motion that we appoint
okay.
Mr. Emery Manning to the Highway Advisory Board.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Resignation, Police Officer Patrick Clements.
Make a motion that we accept the resignation with regrets. Send him a note.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Appointment, Police Officer John Marty.
I'll make an appointment. I'll make a
You
motion
wanna-
to appoint, well, we'll bring it
Oh,
up in
okay,
discussion.
all right.
So I'll make a motion to appoint Police Officer John Marty.
Second.
Any discussion?
So I just was questioning how does it work when he's not graduated the police academy and he's, so I'm not sure. Did you have discussion with the chief, Ron?
I haven't, but obviously he has to be a graduate of the academy, so he can be a certified police officer. So the appointment would be contingent upon the successful graduation from the academy.
In December,
That's
right?
actually not the way that it works.
So that's in my previous encounters.
Okay, that's
it's-
not how we've done it historically, because one of the things he's trying to do here is that he's trying to lock him in after
Yeah, so-
graduation, right?
Yeah.
So, historically speaking, we've even hired people and paid for the academy and paid them while they were at the academy in order to do that. So the appointment would be effective October 6th. We'd start paying him while he's at the academy. Unfortunately, is the way that this would work. If we vote to do this tonight, we'd be paying him while he's at the academy. His understanding would be that the expectation is when he graduates, he comes to work for us. Yep.
I don't understand that.
Because once he graduates the academy, I mean, what he explained to me is if we don't make this offer to him now, once he graduates the academy, someone's gonna grab him. So this is a way to grab him before someone else does.
And we've got a pretty, and I know exactly where you're gonna go, is that several years ago, we had a lot of problems where we pay for people's academy and they bail on us.
Well, he
Okay.
could bail him in and he gets out when he's academy
He-
trained,
he-
right? And there's
yeah.
no way we can tie his hands to keep him here. I
So
understand that.
we actually, so in the past, we have actually had him sign a letter
Yeah,
that
but
says.
you can't do that legally. You can't bind him.
Well, actually, you can. You can say that, you,
could leave at
if we
any
were,
time.
if we were paying for his school, he would have to pay the school back, but he's already paid for his school.
Mm-hmm.
So absolutely, you're right. We can't bind him. We could wind up paying him for while he's in the school and he
Mm-hmm.
wouldn't wind up working for us, okay? But it is a judgment call, and either we support the chief or we don't support the chief.
I mean, it's been an ongoing problem for 35 years that I'm aware of, so
Right.
I don't
I mean,
have
our,
an
our,
answer.
yeah, our
right?
recent track
So-
record has been good. I mean, we, even the folks we paid to get to school, they stayed 3-4 years, which isn't great, but it's not terrible either. So, and it's not the, they graduate and bail. Now, of course, maybe Mr. Marty will make a liar out of me, or at least an erroneous person out of me, but yeah, I would assume that the chief knows who he's talking to.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to weigh in on this. Can you get a minute?
Do you have anything else?
I guess I'm still digesting it. I did not realize that was what was taking place.
Yeah. We can think on it.
Do you want to go ahead?
We discussed this with the police chief many times, and he's trying not to do this because we, the taxpayers, are paying him by the hour. Is he paying for the school, or are we paying for that too?
He already
I
paid
believe
for
he
the
was
school.
paid
He's already
for-
paid.
Yeah,
So we're gonna be paying him how many months? 6?
no.
No,
No. I
2 months.
believe he graduates
8
from the
weeks.
academy in early December.
8 weeks.
8 weeks. And what are we gonna be paying him per week?
$25 an hour.
Yeah, so what's that, roughly $800 a week?
Yeah, I'd say in that vicinity.
Yeah, yeah. $900 a week, about $900.
Closer to 1,000.
Yeah,
Yeah, so call it
yeah, call it
seven-
$1,000,
$7,000, $8,000.
yeah.
Why should we taxpayers keep paying for these offices? They don't stay that long. The chief's trying to, he's been trying to get people with academy certified, because we keep paying for these guys, and then they just take off on us. We're paying for it.
Actually, most of the, I think the last 2 that we've paid for them to go to school, they've stayed 3 and 5 years respectively. So I don't know that you can define that as taken, I don't know you can define that as taken off on us.
I don't think they've stayed that long.
I think they have, actually.
It's just a practice that we're having here, that we should not be paying to put someone through school on the town property. Is my point.
Well, in the last candidate,
The last candidate had it, right?
no, the last candidate, he actually wanted us to pay for their schooling,
Yep.
which I think would have been more than this.
Oh, way more.
Yeah,
But to pay $8,000 and he starts work after December, that's just the, but you know, maybe that's what we have to do now with the lack of.
well, and the fact that he
police and
lives in West
workforce.
Brookfield, hopefully, I mean, unless West Brookfield grabs
Picks
him
him
because
up.
they're short.
So
It's
is
a
this going to continue being a practice in our town? When the chief said that he was going to try to get, is it because we're shorting in on police officers? Is that the problem we're having, that they do not have the certification of being in the academy?
From my understanding, this was in the works before Patrick resigned. He's been talking about this for probably the last month, about doing this.
Agreed. Patrick's resignation kind of caught him flat-footed. I don't think anyone in the department realized that he was ready to go.
Yeah,
So why don't we just get the academy and then come here and we'll hire them? We'll save the spot, so you get a job and you get the academy.
I guess the problem is that he could go anywhere and possibly get hired now, and then we would lose him.
So
But-
what is there to?
Right, exactly.
How are we gonna keep them?
Well, that's my sticking point. You can't force him to stay.
Right. All right, I made my point, I just don't.
Do we
think it's
wanna-
right. So,
do we
I'm
want,
still gonna make a motion to appoint him, and so I don't know if I've got a second or not, but.
I'm not ready to second it at this time.
well, I mean, the more I'm thinking about it, I think I want to, if we could hold off a week, I mean, I was going to talk about that at one point, because there's stuff that's beginning to accrue on the agenda if we want to do a meeting next week.
I'd be willing to have a meeting next
Yeah.
week, because I'd like to speak to the chief as well. It would buy me a week to do that.
Question,
Yep,
is that a common practice, or is that just something new traditional? Is that a common practice?
I think it depends on the community and where their workforce level is and whether they need help or not. And I don't think there's any written, it fluctuates from town to town and from circumstance to circumstance, depending if they're shorthanded or not.
I mean, there's a certain amount of goodwill that you earn with there's a certain amount of goodwill that you do actually earn with the people, showing that you functionally have their back, and the likelihood of somebody, and I hear what folks are saying.
Or leverage on the part of the candidate too.
Right. So,
I'd be willing to have a meeting next week and make a decision next week. I just did not realize.
there's a couple
that-
things that are going through my head that I think I want to do some research on too.
Just a quick question, just out of my own personal curiosity, do we have leverage person comes out of the academy as far as what salary we can offer, or is that just sort of?
No, it's.
That's
Set by
contract.
contract.
Set by contract, so there's,
And we used to have an academy rate, and we no longer have an academy rate in the contract.
so that's basically, it's just a question of location versus any other town, because they all have to offer the same rates, is that how?
No,
No.
every town pays different.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So we passing over, or what are we doing?
Well, there's a motion.
Yeah, there's a
Yeah, but no
motion
one
without a
seconded
So you
second.
didn't second it. I'm not gonna
It's table, so we move.
I've had a lot on my plate, so I haven't really looked at this one too much, and now I have a question.
I could certainly invite the chief to
Yeah.
a meeting, sounds to be maybe next week.
Yeah.
And he can explain the
I think I'd be
rationale
more than
behind
willing
it.
to- I'd be more than willing to speak to him individually, to not have to call him in, but it's, it's the board's call.
And I only talked to him briefly on the topic, and I mean, it sounded good when I had spoke to him, but,
I've had so many conversations with him over the years over the same topic, and this is a quarter loaf versus
Yeah.
usually we're serving up a full loaf. This is
Right.
only a quarter loaf.
Right.
I can't believe that we've done, I mean, it's been usual and customary for us to actually go ahead, and if the chief has enough confidence in the individual based on his interviews and his relationships with them, to recommend sending him to the whole damn academy and paying him while he's there and paying for the school. And I hear what Mr. Holcraft is saying, but I think the statistics are on my side, and maybe the only thing I would want is for Holly to get the statistics on the fact that I think the least time we retained somebody when we paid for the academy was 2.5 or 3 years, okay? This person is willing to sign up with us after they've already paid for the academy and commit to come work for us. I get that people feel that's extra money, but I think it's an investment in showing that we value the officers that we're bringing into the community.
I don't have any
So-
problem with what you're saying, and I agree to some of what you're saying.
Well-
The problem that I have with it is, I want to know, are there other applicants? Have there been other applicants that are
No.
academy trained?
No.
And have,
No.
is he just wanting to groom a particular officer, and that's why he's
No. We're
steadfast
starving
on
for
that?
I know, yeah, I know he's been dying for an applicant. So what my question and concern is a little bit different, is what happens if something happens to this guy before he comes due and we've now paid him? How do we,
Well, that's the
If he's
risk
an
we take.
employee and he's, say, injured at the academy, it would
We
be
don't-
handled just like a injured on
and he's
duty.
getting benefits?
Yeah.
Correct.
Yep. And it would be considered injured on duty, because if he's injured at the academy,
Right.
then it would be an
Yeah,
injured on
we
duty.
own it at that
Yeah,
point,
we
yeah.
would own it, for sure. Now, we could sue the state, but.
So,
I mean, I
okay,
don't see
so,
the big deal of tabling it for 1 week, but it's. Brad, you got someone else
You got
asking.
someone else?
oh, go ahead.
Isn't there any way we could feed back the cost of the academy over their time frame with Brookfield?
He's,
Well-
we could if we were paying for his academy, but the salary they get at the
But
academy.
I
no.
understand that, but
Yeah.
how about, okay, you're talking about $8,000, how about you offer him $1,000 a month to pay off part of your academy while you're working for Brookfield? He's full-time now, and now we're gonna give you some of your academy money back. Just an incentive
To stay.
to stay. And you're paying for it. But he's gonna have to, if he wants that other stipend each and every so often, he'd have to stay again.
It's a pretty good incentive.
Well, yeah.
I think we'd have to do a little
Well,
research.
I think
You-
the problem is because it's not in the contract, while the contract sets minimums, fundamentally, we can't offer somebody something over and above.
More than another person.
So I think the challenge we may have is we might have to go back into negotiations with the police union in order to get that.
But I think it's a more viable way to keep people. You're gonna get more money to help pay for whatever you agree upon, but you're gonna get it on a monthly basis or however you figure that out. Until you're, like you said, you've paid for full academy. Brookfield, fresh out of the academy, we will actually pay your schooling fees, but it's gonna be done at a rate of so much a month or so much every 2 weeks, however you decide. It's a way for somebody to come to Brookfield, work here, and get their schooling reimbursed. The cost of schooling reimbursed. Other than that,
And who's paid for the other academies, for the other
Well, it all
offices and
depends.
those?
I mean, there's no
We
set
haven't had
standard.
anyone. Yeah.
The town has paid for academies all the
But
way
not in a
back.
while.
No, I invest time, right?
Yeah, we've paid for at least 2 people to go to the academy since I've been a selectman.
Mhm.
Like I said, I think one we kept for, let's say it was right about 2.5 years, and the other one I think stayed 4 or 5.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think he'll flee. I just, because I have some doubts, I just want to now take a minute to think about it.
And she's been a pretty decent judge of character.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the only thing I can say, right? He has his moments on some stuff, but typically he's made some good hiring decisions.
Yeah, and I've talked to him for a month about this, and it seemed like a good idea, and but I don't really want to delay it either. I mean, you're good with it.
I made the motion.
Yeah. So I guess what
I
I want
asked for 1 week to
Right.
do some research, so I'm not going to second.
yeah, I'm gonna also push it off because I want to flesh out.
Would you like me to invite the chief to our next meeting, or?
You don't need to on my part. I'm going to go and visit with him.
I'm gonna do some research and then I can go to him directly.
Okay.
Thank you.
And I'll tell him to be careful what he says if he wants to talk to me so that we don't wind up.
Personnel committee appointment, Beth Coughlin, discussion. And do we want to,
Take lead.
who's taking lead?
It says Ron will take lead.
This decision that was made several meetings, both Mr. Chafee and Ms. Coughlin wanting to be on the personnel board. There was, I guess, issues with regards to having 2 selectmen on at the same time. Subsequently, we've had a resignation. There's now a full-time opening. As a result, Ms. Coughlin could certainly step to fill that vacancy on a full-time basis, which would also allow Mr. Chafee to have a full membership, if you will, as well, instead of the half-year membership. So I guess that's issue number 1. The other potential issue that has been raised is whether or not there's really value added, for lack of a better term, with having a personnel board, especially since at this point, you would have 2 select board members on the committee. It's not as if the other members of the personnel board bring HR, private sector HR experience into the equation. So one of the questions is whether or not the board even wants to have a personnel board, or would the board like to accept, as it has been doing recently, personnel decisions.
The charge of personnel is really job descriptions and salary.
Correct.
Because any HR functions are handled by the treasurer.
Yes, benefits and
Right.
things along those lines, that's all the purview of the treasurer.
Do we have anybody else that wants to be on the personnel committee?
Not that I'm aware of. Karen, do we have anything in the pipeline?
Yes, there
I
are
don't
people
either.
on the personnel committee. I can't pull it up right here. Let me go check. All right, right, charge me the computer.
So in speaking to Lori regarding it, the Personnel Committee makes recommendations to the selectmen that the selectmen then put into effect. So essentially, the Personnel Board doesn't really do any decision-making. They just send it forward to the selectmen. Is that correct?
I believe so, yeah. I
So-
could double check the bylaw, but that's generally how the Personnel Board will
So
work.
based on that, I don't know why there would be a need for the Personnel bylaw, or Personnel Committee at that point. If we're struggling for members, then I think it's probably better for the Select Board to just take the whole charge.
How many members do we have if I don't go on?
I believe it's 4 out of the 5. In fact, well, let's see.
Well, isn't it?
No, she doesn't have them listed.
Isn't it Brenda, Lori, Sharon,
Brenda.
and Holly resigned?
Holly resigned, correct.
Isn't Lori-
Brenda, and I'm not sure
I'm
Lori's
sorry,
on there.
I'm sorry, Dave Ford is on it as well.
Doug
Is that
Ford.
correct?
Okay,
Yeah.
Doug Ford,
Doug
yes.
Ford, yeah. So maybe Lori's not on it?
Yeah,
but
Laura, I do
Sharon-
not believe
okay.
Lori is.
Yeah.
Sharon is,
Sharon and-
by virtue of treasurer office.
Yeah.
So here's the thing, I think historically, we've had values separating that work from the Board of Selectmen. right?
I don't have a problem with it. I only thought because you and I were both going to be on
No,
it.
my
so-
only concern fundamentally was that, doesn't matter.
So I'll stay off. Let's see if we can find somebody else to fill out the board.
Okay.
If I might interject, just in my 7 years' experience in trying to go through with an advisory committee, things that I thought the personnel committee had done, I think it's important that there's an independent body because of all of the ad hoc work that we had to do through the last 7 years, and no one knew who was on first, what was on second, I don't know who was on third. And I still am not clear, and at least for financial work that we do, the majority of the issues that we have contention about are all related to salary, grade, roles, all of that. So, again, I know the selectmen are very busy with all the stuff that they do, so it is the way to keep the personnel board and make sure that it's doing its proper function, then I would certainly, as a citizen and as the chairman of the advisory committee, welcome that. Because I know, and again, I'm preaching to the choir, but the last 3 town meetings that I've been there, there's been confusion about what our numbers reflect because we weren't quite sure what something had gone on in the personnel or not gone on, and it just, you know, I think it needs to be visible, viable, and vibrant, as opposed to being, you know, something else.
The problem is just getting the volunteers. That seems to be the issue, so.
Hallelujah. You know, and I'll tell you my dumb story for trying to find people for the advisory committee. So, and again, that's where I've emphasized, and again, I'm not getting on a horse, but the select board really need to push more from a communication standpoint to get volunteers involved in Brookfield. If you like the community, we all, live here, we love it. We need to get people to put aside a little bit of their time to help with some of these committees. And there's no other way it's gonna be viable.
You bored yet, Kermit? You got HR experience. Kept doing it, trying.
And just, and just to confirm, Karen has indicated, yes, Sharon, Brenda, Doug Ford, and Rich are the current members, so there's just the one vacancy.
Yep, great. So they can get it more.
How many of the members are independent? Like, I mean, or town employees?
One.
Just one?
So Steve, can we get an ad put out there on the town website looking?
I think there's been one.
Is there, yeah?
There's been
Yeah.
one, but we could write it explicitly and look, and ask for somebody with either HR experience or whether it's small.
I mean, if we
business
all
or
of a sudden
corporate.
had volunteers for that, I'd surrender my position as well.
Yeah. I may walk across the street because I think Brenda, what's Brenda's last name?
Karen, or
Who?
No, Brendan Brandt.
Parrish.
No.
yeah, it is.
Different.
No, she's talking to
I'm
someone
talking
other
about
than
somebody
Brenda
else, the
Parrish.
folks that live
Oh.
on the common. I'll go knock on your door. Can't think of her last name right now.
So you want to just table this then?
Yeah, well,
So we can
don't
move
need to
forward?
appoint me, let's just move forward. You got 4, you can run a meeting with 4, you only need 3 of the 4 to show up.
So let's keep going.
Okay. Capital Improvement Planning Committee appointments, Martin Banish.
I'll make a motion, but it says he's current, he's already on there.
No, it says
No, current members
are
are-
Oh,
Lori
yeah,
and
okay.
myself.
So I'll make a motion to appoint Marty Banish to the Capital Improvement Committee.
Second.
Discussion? I do have a quick question about this altogether.
Yep.
Is, especially where Marty's now going to be on advisory and capital.
Typically, Capital has a representative from advisory.
So why don't we just have like a finance committee that covers both tasks?
I think the advisory committee, again, we have enough going on just with the annual budget to do long-term capital planning. Really should be a separate
Beast.
committee with people who have the time to do it. And Marty was basically, and before that it was, I'm trying to remember the gentleman, but whoever's been the vice chairman of the advisory committee traditionally has been
On capital.
on the capital, and they report back, and then we sort of coordinate it. The capital improvement committee comes up with a 5-year plan, and then they let us know what's on their wish list, and then sometimes we have a joint meeting, we had in the past. But I think it's too much work for, again, the way that our advisory committee is set up right now, we just don't have the people at the time.
Because he's going to report everything that happens at capital planning over to advisory.
Right, I mean, he'll add an important voice also, but it's basically,
It's too much is what
Too
you're
much,
saying,
yeah.
okay. All right,
We have enough going on with it, is just like to get a forum sometimes.
go ahead,
How many
Kermit.
people on the capital improvement planning committee now? Oh,
It's only,
All right.
there's only, with Marty, it'll be 3. We need 2 more.
I tend to kind of disagree with you a little bit. I think that if we could get, we got 3 people, get 3 or 4 more people, and just combine them. Because I found when I was on the capital improvement planning committee, there were a lot of interchanges between people buying a capital project, how does it affect the operating budget, and conversely. And I know we had advisories of people who were supposed to come, but unfortunately, that didn't happen during the period I was there, where we had people from our committee going to the advisory, or the advisory coming to us. So, I don't know, it seems to me we had 7 or 9 people on a financial committee, working together. I know they're working on, we're working on during the year, looking at capital projects, year-end stuff. But, I don't know, it's hard to find people, but I think the capital improvement planning committee is a very important vetting process for capital projects. It's not fair to have department heads come to the selectmen with a capital project and it hasn't been vetted by the capital committee.
I see what you're saying, but Jeff is saying that he doesn't feel like they could even handle it based on, right? Based on the yearly work that
We're sort of informally doing it now, but what I remember was when it was you and Peter, was Peter's last name?
Peter O'Connell.
I mean, they would go, they had a whole bunch of, and it was voluminous leaf blower was our contact over there, and then he would come, and that was the last one we had, was 5 years ago, I think. But I think by bylaw, the capital improvement committee is supposed to be up and functioning, includes this, doesn't it include someone from the school, the elementary school?
So we changed the bylaw a couple of years ago, and it actually doesn't have, I think, as many,
Town people?
like directed positions. Like it's a 5-person committee. I think it states a preference for certain personnel. We'd have to pull up the bylaw. Do you have it handy, or no?
Yeah, because that's what I understood, that one of the reasons why there was an issue is because the elementary school couldn't coordinate with the other people on it, so it was tough to get a meeting time, but, I'll stand by.
But I believe that changed.
Okay, but I mean, I'll stand by my, when we had a 9-person advisory committee, then yes, maybe the two could have been combined, but now we have 5 people and you know. I don't see it, but, right now, if you can start with 3, I mean, I think that's.
Yeah, I think we could start with 3, and we can pull up the old plan and,
Right, because
see,
the-
see what we've completed and start to put together the next 5 years. I mean,
Because, I mean, the things that we were concerned about over the last 2 or 3 years was the elementary school roof project, which the numbers are wildly, range all over the place, depending on what you want to do for repairing it. And then again, you were mentioning the highway, there's always fire trucks, everything else, but if they're not planned in sequence, then, you know, it's not the right way to do it. So I think it was certainly great when you were doing it with Peter, and it just sort of fell apart. I guess maybe the volunteers got burned out. The same with our advisory committee.
Well, I think it's important that when we put a committee together, that when a committee makes a recommendation, that the select board stick to it. Because I know for a fact that was a good reason that it kind of went away. Right?
Yes.
yeah. We brought plans forward, and they weren't even brought to the town meeting. Yep.
Sorry.
They didn't even make it to the town meeting floor, fundamentally. The select board kind of killed them.
I'll be frank, we had department head agree to the capital plan, and somehow it never got to the floor that way. And so I don't want to get into.
No, I get it, but it's important.
That's literally why I resigned.
Yeah, so it's important that when we put a committee together, that we take the recommendation and move forward, right? So it doesn't negate,
Clearly should
yeah.
vet it, think about it, but not just summarily discount it. I mean, frankly, I was startled. I was on vacation out of the country when I got a call and said 16 out of the 19 capital plans we put forward were not being put on the warrant. And they were approved by the department. So if you're going to put a group together, I would respectfully ask that the select board review those things carefully.
I think we're going to end up having to move on again.
Community Development Block
Did
Grant.
we actually vote Marty on?
Oh, sorry.
When you guys decide.
Yeah.
I did a
We went to
motion.
discussion.
Second, we went to discussion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Yeah, and Marty's been chomping at the bit for the last 2 years to continue on, because he was on it before and then somehow it disappeared. So.
Mhm.
Who's on the capital planning committee now?
Right now, it's just me, Lori, and Marty.
You're on, and Marty and
Lori. We have 2 more slots, so you have that T-shirt.
Yeah, I will say the last report that I read was very well written.
All right, so
I signed it for you.
Go ahead.
Community Development Block Grant Advisory Committee appointments, Mary Lou Knight.
I'd make a motion to appoint Mary Lou Knight. to
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
American Rescue Plan Act balance and allocations. Ron will take lead.
Can I step back? Who's on the CDBG?
Bruce,
Bruce.
me, and Bill Simpson.
Bill Simpson
Bill Simpson.
And now Mary Lou.
And now Mary Lou.
And
Myself and Bruce Clark.
Bruce, you're back on it? Where is he?
Oh, he left.
Oh, good. Oh, good. All right.
Yep.
Thank you.
Ron?
Yes, with regards to ARPA, I just wanted to remind the board that we have until December 31st, 2024, in which to allocate our remaining funds. As of right now, we have $84,897 that have been unallocated and available for use. We also have $60,807 that's been allocated but actually not spent, or with the breakdown being $42,067 that were previously allocated for town hall ballroom renovations but have not been spent. And then we have the $18,740 for the police station engineering and the insulation project, if you will. Obviously, we won't need any of the money for the police station insulation project due to the earmark that Senator Durant has provided for us. And I guess the additional $42,000 for town hall renovations, that's something that's going to be discussed at next week's Town Hall Improvement Committee's meeting to see if there are some projects that might be able to utilize that money. But if not, obviously, depending on what happens with town hall improvements, we still have a considerable amount of money
Where
that
did that 42,670 get generated from? How did that number?
Let's see, that was originally allocated by the board at $100,000. And in fiscal year '24, $57,932 were actually expended.
So that was, so we spent 58,000 to paint the upstairs? Is that what it was?
Yeah, I'm not sure exactly what the renovations were for,
Wow.
Maybe it was 43. No, it was right here. 42.
No, it's 57.
No, 58. Yeah.
yeah, nearly 58 was expended in fiscal year '24.
I don't think it was just paint, though. There was
No, there was a lot
there's
of
there's a lot of other work
Yeah.
incorporated in that.
And they did all this sills, or they were fixed a bunch of things up there.
So,
All right.
what I wanted to, maybe not necessarily hit the panic button, but we are to the point where we probably do have to consider how we want to allocate the remaining funds. We do have a fallback, if you will. I have discussed it with the town accountant, Lori, and she had indicated that any funds that are not allocated, the board certainly has the ability to allocate those into a stabilization type funds prior to 12/31/24, and that way they'll be encumbered. We'd be able to utilize them at a later date, and we still wouldn't have to return anything to the treasury.
I was just going to say, some of the expenditures that we raised and appropriated to fix for the library, the fire station, some of those monies that have not been spent, we could probably put that in this and return that other money to the general fund.
Absolutely, correct. There are very few strings attached, if you will, with regards
I mean,
to how this is.
right now, we should probably go ahead and rescind the police station engineering, the 18,000.
We
That was
did.
going to be my suggestion.
Well, we pretty well did, right?
No,
Well, no,
I'll give you a
I'll
motion, I'll give you a motion to rescind the vote, or the allocation of $18,740 for the police station engineering.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
And then,
What about the
I'm gonna give you a
windows?
motion to, well, actually, no, let's wait until the town hall improvement
Yeah,
committee.
yeah.
Okay.
I would like to allocate more towards whatever they need, because I know there's some things that need to be done here. What about the windows?
Again, I reported back to you guys that Lindsay said that we would be eligible to submit a grant come February or March, right in there. Is that correct?
Oh, Why, because it's like
Just go-
insulation type of thing?
Well, it was, the gentleman I spoke with he worded it as window repairs. I guess we can't technically replace the windows
Right.
because of the historical value, but window repairs,
Okay.
whatever that entails, yeah.
So I thought it was probably worth waiting to see if we could get a sizable amount for that.
And realizing that we did have a fairly large amount of money left with regards to ARPA, as well as in our free cash at the last department head meetings, I did ask department heads to at least start considering, are there any projects that they might be interested in at least putting out there or proposing to the select board for either ARPA or for free cash utilization. I did receive back a few, in fact, before right here, it indicated there is a exterior door at the emergency squad building that she has an estimate to replace at $4,500. And there's also a new roof at the ambulance station with an estimate of $17,500.
Now,
So-
would those be eligible for the ARPA money?
Yes, they would be eligible for ARPA.
What door, Donna? Because I talked to Peter, and he got money at the last annual town meeting to make repairs. Is this the same, or is this
This is for the
different?
ambulance, this is an ambulance door to the back of our office.
So it's an interior door for $4,500?
Not an interior, it's an exterior door. And the only reason they gave me an estimate so high is that one of the doors they replaced in the fire station, they found that because it's such an old building, when they took the framing out to put the new frame in, there was nothing, no supports to hold it, and they had to have a mason come in and build around the doorway. And that's what that one cost. They don't know what they're gonna find when they pull this out. Hopefully it won't take a major rebuilding.
It won't take the 4,500, but
Right.
they did the estimate,
But that's
assuming they
the
have to
estimate.
do the masonry work.
Right.
Okay. That makes sense.
And the ambulance, I just have to be, it's been leaking for a while, but our roof's been leaking. Possibly when the fire department gets the parapet fixed, it will stop the leaking. But it just, that was around 16,000 or so. I knew that was just putting everything out there. We're also going to need to get our garage door opener. We're going to need to get another industrial garage door opener because ours doesn't work. Keep trying with it, but so those are just some of the needs.
Okay.
And as I said, I mean, we do have a little bit of time, but like I said, I just wanted to make sure it stayed on everyone's radar screen.
We'll just keep adding it to the agenda.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I did get two other requests. They were both from the fire department. One was to add $10,000 for the asset repair and replacement account, and the
Oh,
other-
should we, hold on,
Yep.
that's for the next agenda item.
Yeah, I was going to say, I personally would not like to see ARPA money used for that, because these are
Okay.
really more operational, and
Yeah.
certainly would make more sense in a
All right.
special. So
So
okay,
we've
I could
gone
hold off.
from ARPA to now special town meeting.
Yeah, unless there's other questions with regards to ARPA?
I'm good with it.
No, I'm good.
Okay. So the other request, as we kind of segue into the special, I'll finish up my,
Yeah, I do have one question
Yep.
for Donna. So you said that the roof's been leaking for a while.
Yeah.
I'm assuming it's doing more damage the longer we leave it leaking?
I mean, the floor tiles are all stained along that one wall where the parapet is. But it dries up.
Yeah. Water's not good.
No, it's not.
So I'd like to put this back.
Ice makes it worse.
Ice makes it
So,
worse.
so does it leak in ice conditions or year-round? Can you tell us
Year-round,
what's?
if there's a driving rain, it will do that. And they're hoping that maybe by fixing the parapet and doing the fire department's
The flashing.
flashing, that they can stop it. So that's,
So who have you had look at it? Do you know?
I don't remember the company, but it's the same company that's doing the fire department now, gave that estimate.
So the one thing that I'd like to utilize more is the regional school. And in speaking to Tantascwa, they've been more than willing to come out and do work with us. So before we make any motions to
But is there
hire
masonry
sub-
work on this, and do they do masonry? I don't know
No,
what
that's
their
not, that's for
capability-
the, that's for the door.
Yes.
I'm
Oh,
talking
sure.
the roof. The roof
Yeah.
would be pretty straightforward.
Yeah, but what
So-
about the top things on the roof there? Those are masoned in when they put the flashing?
We could let them.
We do, but, so before we do anything like that, I'd like to bring our regional school involved and see what they make for recommendations before we just outsource it at the tune of 16,000, and anything seems to be a lot of money nowadays. So, not saying they can do everything, but they might point us in the right direction as well, and maybe they can take,
Do you want to take point on getting them out
Sure.
there to take a look at it?
yeah, I will. Yeah.
Would you ask them about the transfer station sheds as well?
I will.
How much work can we give them?
Well, I don't know.
I guess we'll
If we
find
don't-
out.
If we don't ask, we won't get anything.
Right.
So,
We have a hand up in the back of the room.
I have a question about the garage door. Are you guys opening it when you need to and then closing it?
We have to go inside and open it. It's just the
Oh, the button doesn't work.
buttons don't work. We got new buttons and we got a new system to punch in the code, and nothing seems to be working. It works sometimes, and it doesn't the other time.
It's crazy.
So we just run around the side and open from the inside. So we haven't got an estimate on how much that's going to be.
Okay. Yeah, let's get an estimate on it. That'd be great. Unless Mr. Gorman thinks he knows how to fix it.
Did you just volunteer to fix it? Or?
I'm an electrician with that. They can figure it out.
Grab ones.
So special town meeting. Are you looking for us to set a date for this, or?
Yeah, I did speak with the town clerk, Siri. He definitely had a preference. He certainly did not want it anywhere close to the presidential elections. He is strongly recommending a special town meeting date of Thursday, November 14th, which puts us,
Halfway between the election and Thanksgiving.
bingo.
Yeah.
So there's kind of a sweet spot there that it could probably work. I have not heard back from the schools yet to see if the cafetorium is available, but if not, I honestly don't think it'll be a large assembly, so we might have some different options even if the cafetorium isn't available.
okay.
Unfortunately, that date works for me.
Sadly, it works for me as well.
You good with it?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Actually,
Right.
I technically might have business travel. Wow, let me look.
Do we need a motion for that, Tom?
Yes, please.
I'll give you a motion to set the special town meeting for November 14th.
At what time? 7 p.m.?
7 p.m.?
Yeah, I'm good with that. Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Discussion endorsement police union contract fiscal year 2024, 2026, New England Police Melville Association.
And that's actually a perfect segue from the special town meeting. One of the reasons why the special town meeting is mandatory is the fact that we do have the police contract. I actually have the official copy here. We do have a memorandum of agreement that has been signed and endorsed by the police union. It has been double and triple checked by town council, myself, as well as the union representation. for its accuracy. So this is really kind of step one. This is necessarily needed so that they could enact the schedule shift from a 5-2 schedule to a 4-2 schedule, which will be occurring tomorrow. Well, yeah, I guess technically tomorrow at midnight. So once the memorandum of agreement has been signed, then it's okay for the police to start adhering to their 4-2 schedule. There is a quote-unquote clean copy of the contract that has just been completed, is being currently reviewed by the police union reps, and we will probably have that available for signature, the endorsement by the board at our next meeting. So this is step one of two, and if you could make a motion to accept and endorse the memorandum of agreement, I think you would make some folks down the driveway a little bit happy.
When do we actually, but we don't sign it tonight?
Yeah, you can sign it this evening. I've got the signature page here. Oh, actually, I take it back. They only provided one signature line in the memorandum of agreement, but as you can see, we do have both union reps that have signed it, so I'll leave that to the discretion of the board if they want to authorize the chair to endorse or if the entire board wants to endorse.
I'll make a motion to sign the police memorandum and new contract.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Do you want to, well, sign that?
Yeah, I'll leave you the top line. You can have the top line.
That almost looks like yours.
So, just point of discussion, so when do the logistics of the finances are more available to be discussed, or we've talked before about how that might work without knowing what a number is?
Correct.
Sometime in the future, or November 14th?
Yes, probably at the next, well, certainly at the special town meeting, but the town accountant, I've just emailed her the new salary or new wage chart, as well as all the different language in there. She's in the process of figuring out what that means exactly monetarily. The important thing to remember is this contract started in fiscal year '24. So there is an entire year of back pay covering fiscal year '24, plus, in essence, really the first quarter of fiscal year '25. So there's a considerable amount of back pay that is owed to the police officers. So that's all going to be figured out right now. I believe that's going to be paid in one lump check to each of the police officers. And then, obviously, as soon as that's all figured out, their pay will reflect the changes going forward.
Do we have an indication whether what we estimated was anywhere close to what's actual, or no? Yeah.
From my understanding, there was nothing that was set aside in the fiscal year '25 budget that was voted for at town meeting.
And nothing was encumbered
Yes, correct, and nothing encumbered. So this is all going to be, I'll refer to it as new money.
Because I think we estimated almost a 7 or 8% increase for what the union wages, for the police one. So if that might not include last year, but hopefully that would cover some of this year's. Okay, well, we'll see what it is.
I think it's a big number.
I get a question, Mr. Chairman.
Mm-hmm.
Has there been any changes in this police contract, anything drastic? I heard they were gonna do 4 days on and whatever.
Correct. It's 4 days on, 2 days off. It is,
Is that something new?
yes, that's something new.
And how does that impact financially on the town of Brookfield? And does that mean they get more money per month with this 4 days on?
Not necessarily that they make more money per month. I mean, they will, because there are increases in their wages built into the new contract, but specifically by doing the changing from a 5-2 schedule to a 4-2 schedule, no, there's no inherent increase in, unless, if you, I guess the argument could be made that you may incur additional overtime, but until that's realized, it's not additional money.
They went from a 5 and 2 schedule to a 4 and 2. At the 5 and 2, they worked an 8-hour shift. At the 4 and 2, it's an 8.5-hour shift. Is that
So
correct?
they're gonna gain at the end of the month something by not working?
I mean, there's an increase from year to year, but I don't think it's a significant increase from the 4 and 2, or from the 5 and 2 to the 4 and 2, based on the number of hours they're working with the 4 and 2. They're working an additional half hour per shift.
And how much of an increase did they, how much of an increase did they go up per hour or per week? What's the increase?
Actually, probably the easier thing is, since this is now a public document, I can provide a copy.
Request it.
It's what?
I can provide a copy, just if you just see the town clerk and just put a records request in, we could provide you a copy of that.
But you can't
The
tell
whole
us.
contract.
You can't tell us that at a public forum what kind of an increase there was?
Well, we'll have to,
Yeah.
then I get form.
So, I mean, there's a whole table. The amount of increase depends on what step and grade the officer is. So can we tell you how much a particular officer is getting different?
No, I'm just curious if there was something, a flat across the board percentage-wise.
No.
No.
No, it's a totally new refresh table based off of a bunch of negotiations about where to start and where to finish on the pay grade. So it's not an easy, like, here's the one number, that's what the raise is.
And there's actually two charts, because there's an officer chart and a sergeant chart.
Yeah, so we're happy to share the document with you, but it's not an easy, like, it's not a,
It's not like 3%.
what's the X? Yeah.
Right,
Yeah.
okay, all right,
Because of the step
Step
and
and
the
grade.
grade,
okay, thank you.
I think the point is probably that it's more than what we had budgeted, perhaps. That's the one thing that I was questioning. I'm not sure, but I don't think it's.
I don't know what you budgeted to make the comparison. Sorry, I don't have the info for you, but I think it's,
No, I mean, it was sort of in the transition, so that's
Yeah.
why. You don't remember, Brad, do you? What the?
No. Next item, open meeting law violation response filed 9/11/24 regarding 8/15/24.
I was going to say, if the board approves a response, if you could just make a motion to allow me to endorse the response, and then I can hand that to the complainant as well as send it off to the Attorney General's office.
Make a motion that we authorize Ron to sign and deliver both the 9/11/24 open meeting law violation and the 7/22/24 violation.
Is it the 7?
Responses.
I'll second that.
Any discussion?
Why was the response on the 7/22 so late? It was supposed to be done in what, 14?
14 business days, correct. And I will freely admit that one fell through the cracks because there was actually 2 open meeting law violations occurring at the same time on the same meeting that were, I guess, fairly similar in the complaints. And as a result, one was addressed well within the 14 business days, yet the other one was not. So basically what's occurring now is a bit of catch-up, if you will.
Okay. Now, we discussed this several times in the past open meeting laws that you were going to approve it, look it over, and then you were going to give it to Brad, and he was going to proofread it to make sure there was no problems.
The agendas, correct.
And we still have this problem going on right now.
I'm not aware of a recent issue with the agendas.
Well, so one thing was the figures were stated at one point, but the figures weren't the same as in the minutes. You stated certain figures at the meeting, but they weren't the same figures in the minutes.
And that's been correct.
Correct, yeah, that was corrected.
Everything that you said has been corrected.
And then on the agendas, those certain items were supposed to be checked by you, and then Brad was supposed to approve them again, to proofread them, and make sure that we didn't have this problem. And we're right back again with the same problem again.
I don't believe these are new allegations with regards to the agenda.
One of them was, yes.
But that one was, I believe that was dated back to the 7/22.
Right, that's right, yeah.
That's the quote-unquote old one, so that's the one that fell through the cracks.
Right, so that's why I'm trying to get a handle on it to say, you know, are we gonna...
Yes,
We're gonna have a check and balance, is what you told me before.
Correct,
And
yep.
it didn't happen, so that's why I'm asking you.
We're striving to be better, Dave.
Okay, all right.
I mean, this is taxing the board that, like,
Yeah,
we have
okay.
important stuff, but this.
No, I understand that, okay. But it is also important though, too.
Yeah, and in fairness, the allegations from the 7/22 was really before we put the new process and checks and balances in place.
Okay.
But since then, it appears to be working fine.
Okay. All right, very good, thank you.
All in favor? Aye. Open meeting law violation response filed 7/22/24 regarding
I
7/18.
included that in my...
They're both in the motion.
Beth did a 2 for her.
I did it too.
Two for one, so.
I did.
Approve select board meeting minutes for 3/21/24, amended 7/25/24, 8/15/24, 5/2/24.
Make a motion to approve the 3/21, the 7/25, and the 8/15,
And the 5/2.
and the
Second.
5/2 minutes, as written.
Second, and any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. I don't have any other items. So now we'll make,
Motion to enter executive session under exemption 2, conduct strategy sessions in preparation for negotiations with non-union personnel or to conduct collective bargaining sessions or contract negotiations with non-union personnel.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor? Kudowski, aye.
Kaufman, aye.
Chafee, aye.